Welcome everybody back to Distant Quest. My name is Brodimus. On the last Distant Quest gameplay, we had oh boy, who did we have? We had the Dolorosa. That's right. Also the prologue, so a little bit of Aradia tossed in there. So today we're gonna be going on with Distant Quest Volume 2, which I believe is the Signless. Yeah, it's the Signless. Volume 2, the Signless people like us. So let's get right into it, shall we? Whatever it takes. I think I made that joke last time. Warning, a content warning: slavery, assault of a slave, violence, one broken bone minor, eye gore, narrated, and flashing lights. Good note. You've come back. Before you forge forward, it's quiet. The feeling is different from the first time Aradia brought you here. Nothing in front of you but inky black space and the tentacle things that seem content to let you share it, but the shape of the ache remains the same. You don't feel that same thirst for friendship. That's out of character. You see then why this exercise might help. You remain the person you are, after all, and that person is inexplicably drawn to other people. You're doing it in a controlled way where you aren't the driver of the narrative. As an intro back into the friend venture, you will eventually need to continue on. It's good for you, you're sure. You're just finding it odd to not be quite so hungry anymore. That is weird. In some ways, it's easier here. This is history. You are responsible for who lives or dies, and Aradia has, in fact, already told you that you can't be. It's going to be hard, but it's a story. The story of the Signless, Aradia had said. One about equality and life and fighting for it, the Dolorosa had added. You can do stories. I can do stories. Sure. Got to turn my fucking second monitor again. How about that? Typical Brodimus. The new noise at the back of your brain is more focused than the old noise. You're not sure what to think, looking back, except that you hope you were a nice someone to know for a night. Fair. Isn't that how you've been maintaining your friendships anyway? One intense night and then charging forward? Yeah. Are you ready? Aradia pipes up from beside you, totally unprompted. Maybe you've been brooding for too long. You could brood for a while longer. The Dolorosa left you plenty of material. Okay, so Aradia is back, even though she just bamped away when we went to meet the Dolorosa. But without waiting for your answer, Aradia opens a shuddering window in time, and you, with a wary look back at her, stumble through. You've misjudged the time portal's height, which this time Aradia has generously placed very close to the ground. So you hit the ground hard, like when you expect a descending staircase to have one more step than it does, but it's because of her consideration exclusively that you don't fall on your ass, and then you stand straight up. And fall on your ass, of course, that's how it always goes. Looking behind you and up toward whatever accosted you, your sharp senses quickly identify it as a ceiling beam, low-hanging and sloped. As you're rubbing at the sore spot on the back of your nug bone and whispering a swear under your breath, you take in the rest of your surroundings. You're in an attic. An attic. The floor you've landed on is rough hardwood. Concrete forms parts of the walls, like you've seen on other hives before, but almost everything about the interior and ceiling is wooden. Old, crooked planks make up most of the ceiling. Oh. Fuck, excuse me. Sorry. Contrasted with a tarp nailed underneath, there are gaps to keep out the sun, a more recent install. There's a distinct smell of recently swept dust in the air. Some of this wood has been burned before. Scorch marks stand next to fresher planks made of the same stuff, but weathered in weird places and clearly scavenged. On the floor in front of you, only half unrolled, is what looks like a normal human sleeping bag. A second. There's what you think might be a third, though it's a whole lot furrier. Next to a box of what looks like strips of bandages coated on one side with oozing green slime. Supor, you know this one. Oh, I do indeed. MSPA Reader does know that one. Hi. It's okay. You can come out. It's all right. So, Signless is supposed to be like 30, isn't he? Because Dolorosa mentioned something about how it was 10 sweeps ago that she found this kid, or this grub, which a sweep is equivalent to roughly 3 human years. It's a little less than that, I think. No, 6 it's a little more than 2. So he'd be his early 20s probably. Your investigation continues slowly around. You approach 180 degrees. Okay. Not what I was expecting for the Signless, but I could fucking dig it. Alright. Hell yeah. Alright. Alright, well, since Karkat sounds pretty much something like this, but he's older, so it's gonna be a bit lower. Hey there. Are you looking for something? Sweet Jiminy Kringlefuck your heart! I didn't want to startle you, it's okay. I can see I failed in that mission now. Circumstances weren't rooting for us, but we can try for second best. How's your night going? This is an impossibly broad question. I mean, you know, little bit, neither here nor there. You tell him the term night as a unit of measure. It's a little flimsy to you right now. He nods like he doesn't quite know what you mean, but he knows what that means. Did you come here on purpose? This dude just watched you purify out of a gaping hole in space-time. That's definitely not a first, but it never shows off your most trustable angles. Now that the shock is worn off, mostly, and the stuttering pseudo-calm interruption of it has settled back into awareness, mostly again, you take stock of him. The troll in front of you sits crisscross meal grub sauce on the wooden floor, his palms open on his lap. You wonder at first if he's just been sitting like that the whole time. Did you pop in on this guy's meditation session? Yikes. That's a yikes. But on second glance, he simply paused in using the comically oversized spine of a plant that has definitely tried to stab you before for the mundane task of weaving thread through a tear in a satchel. So there's like human sewing, you guess. His most notable feature is a ridiculous pair of what would be leggings, if not for the fact that they keep going up, which is sure something, because his second most notable feature is his eyes. The fucking pants. At first, you think he's blind. So you're not sure, so you're not about to say your second guess out loud, but he's looking back at you, or at least kind of around you, with yellow sclera unlike Terezi's at all, and with undeniably Karkat's mutant candy red. You want to kick yourself for being an idiot. Because of course, it's got to be, of course he is. The Dolorosa's son's mutant, candy red. So yeah, you're a dumbass, I mean we already knew that, and it makes a whole lot of sense that this is the next chapter in the story. You're beginning to sense a theme. Is she still around? You want to ask before realizing that asking a stranger if their mom is still alive isn't the best way to make a first impression. Yeah. Besides, what if you were just here last week? You know shit happens all the time on Alternia. But one, you really hate that thought. And two, wow, you have been quiet for a very suspicious amount of time. As normally as you can manage, hands folded gracefully on your lap, you ask the Signless if you're so sorry he could repeat his question. He seems unbothered.
I just asked if you came here on purpose.
Ah, right. Well, you say, glancing around the room as though it will give you clues as to how to proceed. Well, yeah, you know, just traveling around, popping places.
Do you know where you are?
Oof. Nope, not a clue, man. So on the one hand, this is an outcast fighting for equality and the inherent worth of life. He is not going to hurt you if you explain your case in a way that outlines the truth, the whole truth, how your intrusion on his life is only meant as a friend, right? The Dolorosa didn't kill you, and you were much shadier back then. You'll apologize. You can minimize the "my friend sent me here to learn about you" angle. This guy isn't even wearing any knives as far as you can see. Besides, you kind of want to learn about the revolution. That is true. On the other hand, for all his incredible welcoming airs toward a person who's burst into this busted up hidey hole of an attic, he's unwedged his feet from under himself and casually freed his hands. You know that you're looking at a troll ready to run. You tell him, oh boy. Okay, hang on. No, we have the past, and no, please help. Okay. No, please help seems very much like that's playing much more to the nature of the Signless is to help people. What is the past? Tell him the past. Well, here's the thing. The Signless also did have visions of his life on Befriends, where he had friends and everything. So if I don't know if that really fits anything into this. I don't know. Let's go with the past, and we'll just see if we can fuck it up down the road. Alternia, just a little earlier, you find yourself saying, this guy seemed very quick to accept that an alien's transported lies into his attic. You've declared honesty the best policy before. You've been wrong some of those times, but you've also been right. Some of them. Damn it, that's true. This is telling the truth. Son of a bitch. You go with your gut and actually look like an idiot in the process. He leans back, shifting his feet slightly, but not as if to stand, and takes the sight of you in.
This is Alternia. Tonight's the third night of the fourth dim season's equinox. When are you from?
You're not sure, actually? So he did ask the when. Okay, interesting. It's 20-something on the planet you're from, but sort of doubt that clears anything up.
That's fair. Your planet sweeps probably wouldn't mean anything to me. Nice catch. How about this? Where are you from?
Earth! Definitely Earth, you say with confidence you do not have. I mean, yeah, that's my life.
Can I ask how you got here?
You try to explain your alien situation the same way you would way back when, to Vakari or Sarava back when you knew nothing. The crash landing, the spaceship hijacking, since you know you're speaking to a fellow criminal, the things the Alternian planet surface did to your soft, mushy alien organs, both on impact and at least one incident per week since then. As for everything beyond that, isn't there some conventional wisdom about not telling people the future? Particularly when their future doesn't seem to end in the way he plans it to. You don't think you should know that the future Alternia you came from is so... the same. Yeah. But you do tell him about your powers, the rundown, the gist. You tell him about Aradia and that she's helping you navigate, we'll go with that. You don't trust yourself to remember which parts of the truth you have and haven't told him if you make it too hard on yourself. Aradia's cool, you promise. You finish the hard part and brace to explain your time traveler's code of honor.
How has it been?
You tell him a vague story about miraculously surviving your first visit to Clown Church. You slap your colorful illustration of the clown armpit experience. Why does it always come back to fucking Marvis? Right onto the end of that story, since it tends to be a crowd pleaser, and allude to the fact that you've been down in the entrance to the caverns, but mumble that you didn't see all too much. In the interest of responsible time traveling, you're pretending these are contemporary stories. You think some of your slang might have been anachronistic, but he seems to be giving you a pass. You tell him about the extraordinary luck you've had and also the terrible near misses you've had, about living in the ruins of a building that's no longer used because you figure he'll relate. There are a lot of adventures, actually, packed into the side of town you could see from your weird defunct little tower. Sorry, I had to check something.
The nearest city anything that like that has. The nearest anything like that is a good few days away. It's all gated factory subgrubs around here. There's space powers too? How did you find this place?
That's tricky. You evaluate here, not wanting to draw Aradia into the proverbial line of fire, and go with near honesty again. Your powers are more drawn to people and connections than to geographic locations, you explain. I'm a friend of your mother's, sort of, you continue, because both parts of that statement aren't untrue. You tell him she mentioned a Signless and a rebellion, and the two of you start upright out of your conversation when there's a loud "Fzack" in the air, and an unmistakable sharp burning smell following it. It reminds you of that time your own brains got cooked, and you shake yourself out of it, drawing your follicle and Cooper memories back to the Alpha timeline and yourself back into the present. Oh boy, you've bonked your head again. The Signless, on the other hand, seems to have avoided your fate by pressing a hand at the ceiling beam above him. He's quicker than you to his feet, holding out a hand. At first, you need to take it, and then you realize it's not really offered so much as held up to still you. His palm is facing down. His other hand pulls up his hood.
Hey, I'm sorry to cut you short. Contrary to most conventional Alternia wisdom, I'm going to walk toward the problem instead of away from it. This isn't my hive, or else I'd invite you to stay here. It's just not off my offer to make.
Now he's offering you a hand. Oh good, I'm glad he's helping me now. You have the forethought enough to pull your hood up too, as the two of you stroll out into public.
Can I help you find somewhere to wait, and we'll continue the conversation? I'd like to. I understand if you prefer to get the fuck out of Dodge.
As you get closer to the direction he's confidently striding toward, you've just trusting his sense of direction followed, you start to hear the sounds of a scuffle. As you get even closer, you start to think it's the kind of scuffle that only gets labeled as scuffle for comfort, when one side's doing most of the fighting. It's clear what he's offering you the chance to get away from. This is a part of the story, and you're supposed to be here for it. Besides, you aren't one to abandon a new friend hopeful over a little danger. You'd be saying that even if he didn't look worryingly fragile, comparatively. You've seen a few adult trolls by now, and you know a kid who towers over him. That's true. Fucking hell yeah.
I'll be alright.
You look back over at him and shake your head, solemnly. You pick up the pace to keep stride.
Alright. Are you sure? It's not going to be a fight. I'm just going to ask you to stand back and let me talk instead of jumping in to help, and I know that is harder.
The smell of an electrical burn hangs in the air. A voice drifts around the corner, indistinguishable but angry. Yes, you say, you're sure. I'm fine. I don't need to get involved.
Okay. In that case, I need you to know it's not going to look like it's working. I know you can make a good judgment call about what you want to do, but please give me that chance. The goal is to prevent harm and to de-escalate. I'm not in charge here. I'm only asking you for a favor, but it's an important one, and I know what the hell I'm doing.
Oh no! You're 100% positive he knows what he's doing. So grateful to be with someone who knows what he's doing. Boy, because I sure as shit don't. You're magnificent at standing back and watching eventful things happen. Cowardice pays off, you've learned. Sometimes, decently often. Depends on the volume. The point is you're happy just to be a moral support. I mean, that really depends on the situation. The Signless laughs softly, belatedly, like his mouth almost forgot about it. You come around a corner, and an impressively tall cerulean-blooded troll is throwing something into the ground. Their nose breaks. The psionic crackle you heard earlier can't have come from them. Their eyes are hollow, the way follicles are hollow. The way that's psionic with Void Rod if you've ever seen one. You've seen at least one. Yeah. But the trolls assailing them looks burned, all up their arm. There's a crack in the building to their left that looks new, paired with a speckle of blue below it. That looks about at the height of a chip in their horn. The space around the psionic's eyes lets off a stomach-wrenching, telltale rivulet of steam. The rest of the street is cleared, but no one has gone far. Passers-by have halted and they're passing by, keeping at least 10 feet back. A few eyes peer from windows, one pair from an alley. Someone pauses to inspect their shoes, a bronze-blooded troll carrying several heavy boxes of lollygags, as though they aren't remotely inconvenienced, and pausing with a heavy load in their arms was their idea. They all know how this story goes, and they're minimizing casualties. With a rush of fury, you realize that this is needless, this is stupid. You could dash in there right now and zap the gold-blood to safety and be back in time to get the Signless too, you think. Probably. I can probably pull that off. It hasn't always worked out that way. But before you can voice the idea, while you're still staring and processing, not in shock, but not desensitized enough yet, the Signless steps into that 10-foot radius and then into 5. There's nothing aggressive about him, but it's like he doesn't understand. Like everyone else here knows that he isn't supposed to be there, and he doesn't. But then he's standing taller. He's slowing, the closer he gets, but it isn't until he gets just out of arm's reach that he stops, lifts his head high without pointing his nose in the air. This is going to be one of those sermons you've heard about. You're almost sure of it. You expect something perfectly calculated and deliberate. You expect something soft and kind. You expect hellfire and brimstone. What you get is... what is this bullshit? Don't intervene. Just leave it. This isn't something you've seen before. Unfathomably overpowered high blood faces down low blood that you've grown accustomed to. The latter a person in peril, the former an unstoppable force, like a fact of life than a person responsible for their actions. Okay, not quite as accustomed to the trolls around all of you, the ones hurrying away like there's no tomorrow, the ones who have found ways to bide their time, waiting for the sidewalk to clear without looking impatient. But you thought you got the gist. This, though, the air stands still. You have, like any reasonable person whose friends have healthy emotional rages, witnessed anger from trolls across the human spectrum, high and low. You remember another of your very dear friends rap battling the fuck out of a highblood who stole her work, and you think that must be the other closest thing you've ever seen to a revolution balled up in one moment, though with a lot more showmanship and a lot less certainty. The thing that stands out, you realize, is that it's public. Someone has decided that it matters here. Not to be bottled up and delivered at a highblood's convenience as manifestos in pit parks or feelings jams behind closed doors, but to be here, thrust in the face of the person who's hurting their neighbor. You look at him and you feel that it matters. The Signless is standing with his feet shoulder-width apart, planted in a way that is too firmly ready to move, like roots might extend from his heels into the ground. Like when he met you, his weight is angled back. The Goldblood is a step behind him now. You wonder for a second if the Signless was waiting for something like that to happen. If them being thrown created the physical distance he was planning all along to use, and then you remember neither of you knew what the fight looked like before you rounded the corner on it. You wonder what he would have done if there hadn't been any space between them when he got here. All of this moves through your mind in the span of a second, or half a second, or longer, and you just can't count time. He's moving much more quickly than you are, none so dumbfounded and adrenaline struck. The Blueblood didn't look very impressed by that "what is this bullshit," so you think there must have been no pause in his speech at all. I understand what you want, and there will be still be time for that. There are multiple ways this ends. Tell me what makes you need this one. And just by nature of something he's doing, the way he's standing, the way he speaks like he has a right to, the way nothing in his posture or tone or face has caught onto this being a moment he will die in, you can feel everything flipped on its side. Apparently Cerulean doesn't like feeling it, this stutter in the script. Apparently pulling the rug from under someone having a power trip was a bad idea. He takes a step toward the Signless, and you can't breathe. The Signless takes a very slight step back, less than the Blueblood is advancing. It's to keep between him and the Goldblood, not to leave. Do you want this one? His voice never raises past a point. It is a demand, not a yell. I'm not asking you something easy. I'm asking you to stare at the choice you are making the fuck down. Everyone shifts on their feet around the confrontation's epicenter. The troll carrying way too many boxes readjusts their grip and glances around after doing so as though they've just committed a crime. A woman who can no longer pretend to keep scraping the same increasingly pristine patch of gutter flits to the other side of the street. Something in the scene in front of them twitches, and your gaze shoots straight back up. That's a criminal. You look up in time to hear the Blueblood say. He says it like it's an obvious end of discussion. A sigh, really, I have a job. This is the hill I'm gonna kill you on? Fat load of good she'll do me now, he continues, but I don't think you or I wants to get a legis in here. Look, I'm coming through, pardon. And you're very worried that he simply is coming through whether your buddy moves his flesh sack out of the way or not. The Signless does not pardon him. He does not move, and the blue blood sneers, rearing a hand behind his back. We have this minute. We actually have this minute. Listen to me. You're frustrated. The way you expected this night to go down has been disrupted, and according to just about every person you've ever met, that's supposed to mean something about you. Notice your employer isn't watching. The troll behind me isn't leaving. I am doing nothing to you. This is a plan someone else wrote for you that I am interrupting. I want you to explain to me why you need this victory over someone who is in no position to fight back. The story I am looking at goes like this. You come to blows. You came to blows. It's over. You have nothing to prove here, nothing to win, and frankly nothing worth carrying a flesh and blood trophy back to. The Cerulean opens his mouth to say, have you ever had a job, and the Signless says, I understand. Which isn't a yes, and they don't like it, but I understand fucking completely here, because that is the problem, and we haven't examined it. Ah! Got it! The Signless starts to say, please try to, with me, at the same time as the blue blood starts to laugh, and the Signless for one doesn't stop. Someone has positioned your social survival over her freedom, and I am tired of it! You should be tired of it! And I know you are. I know you're tired of me proverbially dragging your head around to look at it, and I know you're tired of looking away. You're bartering lives for the notion that you've proven your desire to you deserve the rights of your caste, and the rights of your caste are only to hurt. And what someone is hiding from you in that cyclical logic is that you are only allowed to be something if you are worth more than them. That isn't something this low blood did to you. That isn't something I did to you. You're bartering your ability to feel a single true thing for the ability to look away, to disconnect from the suffering of the trolls right in front of you. And who fucking put that there? She isn't what's hurting you. This troll got away. She died, if you want. You can explain that you dealt with the callous disposal of your own cavern mate, and go back to living your life as a consenting, sentient barbed wire fence tomorrow. I urge you with every single thing in me not to. But this is one choice. It's one choice and one moment, and it can spark change or get buried under the rug, and you decide which thing, security or community, you want to walk away from. I will strive to keep that community door open as long as I can, but people will die for your tardiness. You should come anyway, some night. Just step the hell off right now. Nothing good or noble or inspiring is happening here. The fact that I noticed that doesn't mean you can't too. Apparently somehow, that does it. He steps off. He leaves, wordless and self-righteous. You, still frozen in your spot, watch the Signless, unruffled and steady, brings the energy from about a 10 to a 5, just about halfway down. He turns to the Goldblood at the same time taking a step away from them. They're still on the ground, less because they're stuck there, and more because they know better. He offers him a hand from a distance that would be comical on Earth and on Alternia, succeeds at being only about half as terrifying as a stranger in your personal space could usually be. They stumble to their feet without taking it. You flinch as another troll steps out from out of the alley she'd been rubbernecking from. From there, she moves all the way into their space, but she's only there to help them stand. You try to exchange a rather panicked glance with the Signless. Where the fuck are they going? Will it be any better than here? But he's busy exchanging a look with one of them or the other, and so you're passed over. I'm used to it at this point. For the uneasy, limping pace the other two trolls had taken, they sure have disappeared completely down the alley when you look back. When you finish taking the long way back to where you came from, you are weary, the sort of dizziness that fills you in the kind that comes when adrenaline is built up and not spent. The Signless takes a breath that fills his entire chest and lets it out through lips, person to a minuscule oh. As he's something of an expert in handling moments like these, you consider copying him. His hand is braced against the support beam of the hive, but you know for a fact that he isn't hurt. He doesn't at any point in this look at you. You both climb back into the attic. That was a lot. Should you two go check on them? The Goldblood, the Signless, shakes his head. No, they're okay. They're more out of trouble than they would be if we were to find them now, or than we were to try and find them now. I too would like to see them all the way out of town, and frankly all the way to a brilliantly happy and healthy life and freedom after it. I'm very memorable, and going back now will only cause them more trouble. They've disappeared for the moment. Let's leave it that way. You guess you also pretty memorable. I mean, yeah, you don't have horns. I wouldn't have made it out like you coming along. It was okay if I genuinely thought it wasn't. Maybe you do have a point there, and one I should have considered. It was good to have a friend on my back. Wow! You've only made like one choice. The friend bar must be super low here. I mean, yeah, we only did make that one fucking choice, and here we are, already friends with the sufferer. Signless, excuse me. You recall that he called that overladen with boxes troll you two passed on the way back friend too, and that dashes your good mood. You sort of wonder if it's alien for comrade.
Thank you for being there.
He's welcome, of course, and you mutter something to that effect. You think about the entire subgrub you've just walked through, 2 big factories in the distance surrounded by small hives much like this one. You get the feeling that the person whose attic you're crashing in isn't doing much better than the gold blood you two left behind, than the eyes in any of those windows. Not one of them is free, are they?
Not yet. One night it won't just be lowbloods teaching each other how to survive anymore. That kind of burden should not stay on the oppressed. One night's going to be waking into a town like this and walking out with the gates open and factories torn down. We've seen things close to it before. I'm not talking out of my ass. Chains broken on a much more individual scale. I don't think that's what it's going to be tonight.
Hey, that's okay, you say it, immediately clap your hand over your mouth for it. That's alright! No, wow, no, it's not, but...
I know. It doesn't feel like enough. My family and I brought along enough provisions to share with them, while we're here anyway, and there's enough to share with you. We should probably debrief on what just happened. I'm still rattled too.
He is? He doesn't look it.
Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Coffee? Uh-oh. Coffee seems like a bad idea. I don't know why, it just feels like a bad idea. Let's go with coffee.
Are you sure? It's just instant. It's very cheap instant. I'm not too picky, but I feel I ought to warn you.
With some of the food you've learned to survive on around here, a good normal cup of cheap instant coffee sounds positively luxurious to you. He laughs warm, and though maybe this is just you and your weirdnesses rewarding to be on the receiving end of it. He tells you to take a breath, You do, and he descends to the kitchen. He's back not too long later, first his hand to offer you a mug, and then the rest of him.
So, the debrief.
The debrief, you echo, formally. The debrief, yes, the debrief. The debrief that we're going to talk about, where we debrief the situation out there. Debriefly.
Firstly, I want you to know you were not unique in this. Usually, after anything horribly emotionally terrifying goes down, my Clade and I, we try to sit down and process it out.
Oh, about that. Where is this Clade anyway?
We're spread out during the night. The troll who raised me, that's the Dolorosa whom you met, is off doing the same thing kind of thing I like to do. The first night we stay anywhere, meeting people, learning what the community cares about and what they need. I was going to join her at that in a minute, but I'm glad you caught me before I did. One of the unaccounted for pieces of my heart is helping our host's neighbor. The other is waiting for us far outside of here. I would ask him to come to a place like this, and he agreed. It's all quieter outreach this time.
You nod as if you know what that means. Yes. I nod sagely.
I know it isn't what you're expecting. You said you've heard about the sermons. You should come sometime. We just don't quite have the breathing room for that kind of work right here and now. As for right now, how are you feeling?
What, just all of it? Just in general?
Well, not necessarily all at once.
And you think you're okay. Mostly. You're embarrassed to find you're mostly okay. You're confused and angry, and it shouldn't feel like that moment ended just because you're safe.
I know that we didn't single-handedly fix an entire life in one night, and we can't know exactly where they're going next. I never like leaving without having done enough. I've got my reasons for choosing to trust in this.
You think about the woman who did help them away. Sheepishly, you admit that someone who's been living this for her entire life is probably better equipped to help someone else survive it, maybe even get out of it, than you will ever be. Then you'll become the next 24 hours anyway. But all those trolls were just biding their time, you say.
The other lowbloods along the street?
You nod. You were so angry at them for doing nothing. Sure, that's exactly what you did, but you had a plan. You've intervened before. You wouldn't have just... You were so angry that they were just paralyzed, that they were complacent, that this was survival. Would that psionic just have been hauled back or killed if the Signless wasn't there? How has it been like this for so long before he hatched? How has anyone let it?
You're right that I couldn't be the first person to say this is not okay. I'm not. I'm 1,000 times moreover not the first person to think it. It shouldn't take a flashy prophet amplifying the pain of a billion people have tried to call out before to get them heard. Do you remember the sludge custodian back there?
The woman cleaning the gutter? You saw her, you think. You remember being distracted as she gave up on one side of the street for the other and looked petrified about the concept of moving.
You're right. She moved from my left to my right. Can you picture everyone's field of vision in that moment, looking back on that? It's alright if you can't. That one is a fucking doozy to learn.
Wow, okay, alright. So the blue blood had been successfully averted to mostly staring at the Signless and occasionally to you, reasonably so, considering your field of vision was definitely some serious, none too sneaky staring. The Signless's eyes were turned away from you the whole time. You wouldn't know. The Goldbloods... Oh, you deliver your answer, and he nods, repeating it back to you.
She was moving where they could see her.
You see it now. You don't see everything in that street now. You're sure you don't see everything he was saying, but she was staying close. Maybe she was ready to help them walk away if no one had helped them walk away. Maybe she was there to make sure they weren't alone as they were dragged back, or as they died. Whatever it was, she was making sure they knew, I'm here.
I don't know her motivations either. There were a lot of people who might have been ready to run or might have been ready to help. I've learned the art of informed guesswork, but I'm a people person and an optimist, not an empath.
There were people who left too, who were just trying to survive. But come to think of it, given your experiences on Alternia, you seriously shouldn't be surprised about the ones who stayed. The valuable lesson of the night, perhaps your friends aren't exceptions?
There are moments when you look around you and find a cold world unwilling to care. There are a lot of people who bleed out on sidewalks or lay incapacitated until they roast in the sun, with crowds stepping around them. I understand that as well as I can expect to. I know what it's like to look out at a world that hates you. I know as well as I can that it would be harder. It would be worse without the people I love. Being deserving of that kind of care isn't exclusive to those of us privileged enough to have already found our clades. And I think, everywhere I go, the world proves it already knows that. That caring isn't exclusive to us either. That there are so many people out there trying, that there have been eons before I was hatched, but even two, that as yet unwilling doesn't mean incapable. I am fortunate to have a clade waiting for me to come back, but kind strangers have helped me get home on nights when I wouldn't have otherwise made it too.
Is that why he preaches?
I'd like to say so. I hope I would be out there shouting these truths for every street corner and soap crate I can get my hands on, no matter what else my conditions, and no matter how possible it looked. In reality, it must help that I have proof. I called myself a prophet just now. I kind of fucking hate it, but that's the only word we have that approximates what I think is happening. I don't see forward, but I do sometimes see back. Parallel, I don't know. I'm occasionally allowed to mentally trip into the Alternia we were supposed to have. And so I know this isn't us. This isn't us by nature. The presumption of violence is the method by which society is naturally ordered, because before it was introduced to us via construct, was fucking shit-hive. I'm reclaiming that. Sanity's another normative spectrum that I am not particularly a fan of. I don't say that. There was a span of time where I was obsessed. I decided if we could just figure out what changed between the universe we could have had and here, if we could work out what made us hurt this badly, we could undo it, right? We could solve the universe, reverse engineer peace. And then my clade dragged me down into reality, and reality proved we didn't need to. The people around me had already proven we don't need to wait on answers from the multiverse to heal. I have yet to meet another troll who isn't drawn to kindness, and I've yet to meet one who doesn't need it. That's all we've needed, and you should see this movement as its strongest. You should see us outside of what's essentially infiltrated prison walls. We've freed people. We will here if we ever can. We've seen fighting rings shut down and once a would-be death sentence redirected. There's an auction hive in Offcleave whose owner won't rent it for the auctioning of trolls anymore. There's an entire subgrub out there, I won't name names, who collectively decided to chase the church out and did it. Things are changing. And to hear him say it, your head inflated with narrative relevancy, your heart pounding for this one good thing, you want that desperately. There's a place for you in this too, if you want it. The fact that you know how this timeline ends comes crashing down around you again. He doesn't know. He hasn't mentioned your time-rending powers, but you are intimately aware of how you could use them. How you don't know exactly what you can do, but you do know it's pulled something out about this universe apart. How you are a tool against the space-time he's contained in. Maybe you could even go back to whatever he's seeing, before the cancer was planted, solve his visions with him and his family, and figure out what changed between the Alternia he sees and the one you're on. Maybe you find the problem way back then. You think about how it's probably not one problem. It's probably the building up of hundreds of smaller decisions over thousands of years. But if there's an Alternia they were supposed to have, then this one should be able to work the same way if you guide it along, shouldn't it? You just need a roadmap, a plan, a set of points in time to twist, and then maybe, just maybe, you could undo the whole thing. Or moving forward, you could watch this revolution happen 1,000 times. You could jump through it at a night at a minute. You can figure out where it goes wrong, because you know that the Alternia that you just came from in the future isn't his. You know this goes wrong. And then you could go back and let him know. You could let them all know. You could give a few weeks of your time to look over the next 10 sweeps and then come back and confer with the Silence about what to do instead. You have infinite do-overs. You can just load an old save anytime. Between you and him and the rest of his clade, you could hit Alternia at its malleable space-time core. You could take it apart and put it back together. You wonder if he knows it too, if he's waiting for you to offer, or if he was genuinely never going to ask at all, even if you just stayed here and did normal revolution work without lifting a supernatural finger.
You wonder, at the back of your mind, where your broken memory lives. You feel something else. There's something else here, something bigger than Aradia's rules, but sitting next to him now, he makes you wonder if that's true. If that's something in your old world, or this new one, or maybe that nagging piece of your brain that wants things to make sense has programmed into you. If you want order, and so you want to believe that battle's unwinnable. You wonder how many battles you faced down before that looked unwinnable. You wonder with your Alternian friends, with your new earthly friends, and you wonder what, once upon a time, you left back home. You wonder how many unwinnable battles you left sitting when that was ultimately untrue. You wonder if at the time even, quietly, you knew. And then you think about your friends, your new Alternian ones, Daraya and Tavros and Karako, and all of the ways they're able to grow and change and become magnificent, vibrant people. How they're worthwhile kids. How the Signless and Dolorosa are right, and a person doesn't even need to be immeasurably worthwhile to deserve to live. But hot damn if they aren't anyway. You think about Karkat, and what he's still hiding from. Maybe you can make a better world from him, but maybe you set off a ripple wrong, step on the wrong butterfly, so to speak. Maybe you stay here and you make the wrong changes and none of them ever hatched at all. Is that selfish?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, for what is not the first time in your friend making escapades, and sure not to be the last, you weren't sure exactly when you started speaking out loud.
It wasn't long. If it was about my friends at another time, I think I know what choice I would make, actually, but I'll never be faced with it. The world's not mine to touch anymore. This is yours. You've left a lot of friends in the future, right?
You nod.
I'm not going to keep you here. I don't know if there's a strictly right decision, but I do know your friends are the most important people in the world to you.
He offers a hand. It's quickly becoming apparent that when he's hanging out with you and not being something for you, he's not the most informed in how a body casually moves through space anyway. Then again, come to think of it, you're not sure any Alternian adult has a particularly normal casual relationship with friend touches. You take it.
And if it happens that I can't prioritize like that, then who is or isn't more selfish between the two of us isn't my concern. You care very hard, whether you use that in my time or yours, on my planet or someday eventually yours. I wish I could promise to help you get back. You're doing something right. Keep at it.
That's a tall promise to keep. You're not sure what you're doing right at all. You're not sure what he's seeing in you, and you're not sure if you've painted enough of a picture for him to really know. You tell him that you will.
Damn it! Damn it! You got the good ending.
Faith in Trollmanity restored. Son of bitch. Damn it! Fuck! God, fucking dog! Let's go fuck it up now! Let's go fuck it up now! Alright, so I've passed. No, please help. No, you say. Maybe it's for the best that you keep the supernatural shenanigans out of it. No, you don't really know what's happening at all. You just popped through that time window there, or whatever it was. I don't know, who knows? Did you see that? That was wild, right? That was crazy. And anyway, you're really thoroughly discombobulated. Not to worry him, you're doing fine. You're adapting great. Maybe he could tell you a little bit more about this place?
You're an Alternia. Am I right in assuming that this isn't your, that isn't your home planet? I would tell you this system's name, but it's the same as the planets. We're the center of an empire that spans multiple galaxies.
You're so grateful for a question you can answer honestly that you must look almost perplexingly relieved. Quickly, you affirm his assumption. No, you say, this must be far from home.
We're also in my attic, which is one of the safer places for you to have appeared, but it won't remain so forever. In the interest of full disclosure, you need to know who you're staying with. Everyone on this planet has a legal impetus to kill me. For different reasons, because you are an alien, they have the same legal impetus to kill you. I'm not going to kill you. I have no interest in that. The people I'm staying with, no one is here now, it's alright, but they will be before the sun rises. They won't kill you either. There are 4 of us here in total.
From the tone of his voice, you would swear he's about to apologize to you for the fright you got invading his attic.
Do you have any idea what brought you here?
Feeling a little guilty about it, the best you can bring yourself to do is shake your head.
No, that's okay. My Clade and I have a little experience untangling the supernatural. Don't let me get false hopes up. I don't know anything about something like this, interplanetary portal transit, but I do want to help. Do you remember anything before this?
You were in a spaceship, you say, because that is true. Something started to go mysteriously wrong, you say, because that is true. You figured you might impact on the planet's surface and be lucky if you survived. Nothing could have prepared you to simply be deposited by portal into a mutant's attic.
What makes you say that?
Okay, wait. Shit. There's nothing wrong with it. You're just referencing your, cullability buddies. He said that he's cullable. Doesn't every planet cull mutants? Just a guess. Just get out there.
It's okay. I just need to know what you mean. You would be surprised how many of my friendships have started with ill intentions.
Just a guess. He seems really small. He's really small, and there are no other things that seem weird to you. Sorry, your wild mutant guess is totally incorrect.
Wait, shit, you're not supposed to know what trolls look like, and he's not... Here's the situation. Truth be told, me staying behind closed doors with a stranger who's identified me as a mutant, purportedly before they've seen a single other member of my species, it isn't going to be the safest choice for you.
This is not going well.
Are you in trouble? I'm not going to just send you on your way back to someone who will punish you for a job poorly done.
What? No, what? No, you're not a spy. You would have no reason to spy on this probably totally insignificant troll. You mean... Callability buddies?
Do you know how to do that kind of thing?
Harry, he loosely mimes a portal. It's not a very good pantomime. His hands are limp and embarrassed about it, and all you get is this vague impression of a circle. Teleportation, you hopefully provide?
Teleportation. Are you able to do that on your own? Was that all you?
Yes. Yes, you can teleport. That's a thing that's true. Yeah, sure, currently, yes. He looks deeply uneasy.
I think you have to go. It really has otherwise been good meeting you.
He doesn't even wait for you to zap out. By the time he's finished speaking, he's already walking you toward the hatch down from the attic. The way you quietly lead an annoying guest to the door when you're trying to tactfully end a conversation. Gentle redirection. Oh man. All right. Well, cool. We got the short bad end. Now let's get the long one. Zap on by all this to the past. Zippity zap. Don't intervene. Go on through all this. All right. So tea is the incorrect choice here. Tea sounds nice, you say? Tea is generally what people use to calm down, right? Are these both caffeinated options? How often does he use caffeine to calm down?
We have herbal teas too.
He stands and then nods over his shoulder at the ladder back down the way you came.
I can't remember which ones we have actually, and I'm not sure I could explain our fauna to you well. Anyway, but you can come take a smell and pick. Take a smell and pick.
He's right, despite your short time here, you probably wouldn't know the names of most of their alien herbs. Actually, now that you're thinking about it, you're sort of concerned about what alien herbs will do to your insides, but you don't think a Roddy will allow you to die of poisoning. It turns out he's one mental step ahead of you because he leaves two of the little pouches of leaves aside and quietly explains that they're medicinal before telling you what's going on in each of the remaining mixes. You select one that is comprised almost entirely of something called stinger mint. He sets a kettle on the stove. Now that he's mentioned it, you understand what he meant about being rattled. Even in here with closed doors, he's still sort of moving like he's hiding. When he sets the kettle on the stove, metal on metal, it doesn't make a sound. You turn your gaze casually away to give him a minute unwatched, but he catches you, naturally.
What are you thinking about?
So I guess running and hiding all the time really means running and hiding all the time. Seems like an unfair way to start, so you try to broach the whole subject area gently. The hood, you ask.
I wasn't the topic of conversation.
Well, he's much less wound up about it than you expected, but it sounds a little sad. It sounds like something you might understand. Your existence has tended to always be a topic of conversation eventually. You sort of still have patience for being a novelty, though, and you're not, hypothetically, just by nature, not back home. Not since birth. The Signless laughs, softly, trying each teabag to shut to deposit in your mugs.
I haven't been since my hatching either, not in the way that you're thinking. Troll Mom was good at that. She was phenomenal at that. For all the thousands of things she was very abruptly in a position to need to unlearn, to even realize which things are to be unlearned. Obviously, we've been stumbling through this since my hatching. Obviously, we've had a couple dozen heart-to-hearts about identity and self-definition and what they mean for both of us since then. But I wasn't a novelty. I was a stranger, but I wouldn't even call myself particularly strange. The world had an established pattern it understood, and it didn't plan for us. I think the first time we had this discussion, I found that to be a very strange mistake.
That's a complex thing to put on a child.
There isn't any avoiding the fact that you are in a world that hates you for what you are. You get there, eventually. But there is comfort in knowing what you are. Comfort in knowing that you are, and that's good enough. I haven't quite finished defining what I am yet.
It is sort of comforting to know you're not the only one, even if his crisis of identity is much less metatextual.
Hell, I didn't even call myself a lowblood until I was 9 because I insisted I was appropriating something I had never lived, until a very good friend flicked me on the auricular foil and asked if I had perhaps ever experienced, and dig deep to answer this one, some kind of subjugation for my blood.
When he laughs, you laugh with him, and you both rather needed the break. You appreciate how he either is good enough friends with this troll that he still laughs to tears about the sort of mediocre joke will sweep later, or just likes hearing himself talk that much.
I think that helps, though, the concept that the world didn't prepare for us. Because the thing is, one gets to talking and realizes that the world didn't prepare for anyone else either. That it didn't prepare for any single troll who wants to be free and to love more than they want to hurt. And I've never gotten to know someone legitimately into their core and found that they wanted to hurt. That the world to which we're referring here isn't the world by nature at all. It is a choice. It is the living and by choice evolving or stagnant thing that is structures made by people.
and that for every one of them it had prepared a place, an archetype to fail, instead of preparing for them. The thing is, you and I aren't the only people on this planet without some Messiah's given definition. He sounds very well adjusted about it all, you say gently. He reads through your gentleness very quickly. Bless this man, but boy howdy, can he ever forget how to stay on topic? I understand that sometimes the conversations I'm facilitating need to be about the thing that's fixable. In moments like those, it's a life to save. It's immediate. In so much Alternia, it's immediate. So he can't do it as him. You hear the words he thinks he's dancing around, and you don't like them. So his mutation is just, what the fuck, a distraction? So he doesn't get to be inconvenient? That isn't right. No. Horror Terror's emissary, no. This movement is for me as much as it's for anyone. It's for every grub like me who never made it past the cavern's gaper. It always has been. If I could always work for it with my hue on vibrant display, I would. I would raise a fucking banner with it. You don't have to believe me, but I'm twice over an outlier. I'm a troll whose blood doesn't allow the bounds we knew before I was hatched. I am a prophet who sees what could have been instead of what's coming next. And I'm telling you, in the universe we could have had, I walked around with my eyes uncovered, and without exaggeration, what is probably the most obnoxious neon scarlet belt anyone has ever seen. The width of 3 of my fingers, any second of the night, I'd start arguments dressed like that on purpose. I was an unstoppable, preposterous little shit. His face has shifted, caught up enough in the thread he's distracted himself with that you're not sure he remembers the question, but he looks happier. You roll with it. I want that. Not the starting argument shit. That was bad, actually. That was not always, but often pretty bad. I mean that if the night comes when I can conduct myself, even in danger, as a mutant, and it will do nothing but make me a good example, if it isn't for my ego, if it won't detract, I would love to. I will leap at it. If anyone in my shoes made the other choice, I know I would applaud them. This doesn't sit right with you. That for all of this, your friend has moments of keeping himself publicly palatable. I know. It isn't me. It was me, to a point, but it's a gift that my ThinkPan has learned better, even if it did so before the world caught up. And the world does have a lot of catching up to do. You look around yourself at the hive you're in. It's decorated. You can tell the troll who lives here makes it their own, even though they don't own it. There's a little line of colorful rocks in front of the curtain in the window. Ah, there's a shadow behind it. You're about to say something, nudging the Signless' shoulder. He jumps to show him, and there's a rap at the door. One look at the Signless confirms that no, your gracious host workday is not over, and they wouldn't be dropping by home. He gestures for you to move toward the attic, wordless. You have a better idea. You zap him to the first place you can think of that's away from here. No one else is here this time, of course. Goodness, though, you'd appreciate her help solving this problem. Maybe you should just go purify wherever the doll roasted. No. Then you'll just stay here. Ah, you're not the ones in trouble. You're very in trouble, but you're not the person who lives there. You broke the law by existing, not by harboring fugitives. Ah, what a grand mess you've made. You don't get it. You didn't do anything. No, we didn't. That's not always how it works. If anything, I should have pulled us downstairs and got distracted. But we weren't accountable for the fact that the planet already sucked before we got here. Before we got there? He looks both startled and befuddled by your eureka moment. No, listen, you can change this. You can fix this. Time travel. Remember time travel? You told him about time travel. Your powers, you explain, aren't always as flashy as the portal he saw you arrive at. You zap around the area a couple times so you can see it from the outside. You punctuate the display by zooming very many miles away, picking up a seashell from a far-off beach and returning with it still caked in wet sand to offer him. He clearly wants to feign a little interest, but his eyes simply will not stop blinking. It doesn't bother you that stress is the predominant emotional response you're getting here. That is your predominant emotion too. Yeah, that's how I exist. You start talking. You can't go where your past self will see you. That's a paradox, but you can shift some shenanigans around. You can not have showed up at all. You can simply pick a different night to meet him. Boom, new timeline. Same timeline, different, new story. You're really not sure how it works. You can fix shit. No, it's all right. I would have been out of the hive and several blocks in the opposite direction by the time the fight happened. If you hadn't shown up when you did, I am grateful that you gave me a reason to be in the right place at the right time. So we have to fix this linearly? No, okay, just give you a minute to think. I'm going to go back and talk to them. You're not sure how often your friend talks his way out of danger, but this seems like a lot of times in Check's watch, like 40 minutes. We're almost pushing 50 now. You really don't think this can be his solution to everything? It's not. Whatever else you have, I'm listening. I just won't pick a solution that puts someone else at risk. Someone is at risk. You remind him very gently that someone else is at risk. I won't pick solutions that trade one life for another. And if you go back to Beggarati and drop you off on a different night, he won't have saved the Highblood. This sucks. Is he sure, you ask delicately, that this isn't a case of simply trading his life for another one? A life is a life, you add sagely. A lot of people have taken consequences that aren't theirs. That would be me. That would be mine, for me. This is bad. Everything about this sounds bad.
That wasn't intended as doubt. I'm very good at this.
You quietly hope he doesn't think talking is actually how he gets out of everything. You don't mean to intrude on business that isn't yours. It probably shouldn't come from you. He knows. You realize with another little flash of anger that he's defending the teal blood too, and you aren't really sure that's fair.
I understand the position I'm putting you in. I don't lack faith in myself to work this out anyway.
Neither of those things really feel like they're changing the position he's putting you in. You can just go back to watch to find out how bad it actually is. They saw a shadow or two through a window. That's all you know. Tricks of the light happen all the time. And so you, not him, just you, can go back, watch from outside, quiet and unobtrusive, and see what this troll does. Maybe there's no danger at all. Maybe it's over. You wait for an answer. The Signless nods. And so, first order of business, you clear out the attic. You zap back at the moment before you two had left, gather the items strewn about the attic in a messy pile, and zap back with your arms around them. Leaving the mess for Signless to sort through, you continue. With your hood pulled up again, you cover your freaky hornless appearance. You stake yourself a lookout spot between the two of the neighboring hives. You've zapped backwards in time about a minute. That works almost perfectly because it only takes 5 seconds before your teal blood comes by to knock at the door, and you, through the window, see the flash of light of yourself and the Signless zapping away. It's only a second after that when they open the door. And sure enough, once they do, they spend only a minute inside before moving on. They look a little embarrassed about it, like they're trying to shuffle along as quickly as they can before anyone can see they've taken time out of their day for a false alarm. You deliver the good news, and the Signless lets out a sigh of relief like he hadn't quite been willing to exhale while you were gone.
Okay, so now we need to go.
He's finished packing, apparently, right before you got here, because he slings 2 of the bags over his shoulders.
Do you think you can find the Dolorosa and Disciple unobtrusively if I give you directions? I trust that more than me walking the old-fashioned way.
You've been doing this for a while now. For his sake, you're confident you can.
Okay. Oof.
Time and space powers, you remind him. You can go in a minute without being late. Is he alright? It's hard not to be the person to be the hero. You remind him, but everything is okay. No harm is going to be done.
Thank you, I know.
Then what's wrong?
Nothing is, quite technically. I'm quietly, personally upset that we're going to be leaving 2 nights before we planned to.
That's right, this sort of still sucks. He's not going to get to say goodbye to his friend here.
It's not the first time I've done without goodbyes.
Gosh, you guys it wouldn't be. They probably can't exactly be pen pals.
It's nothing new, and I promise you it's nothing I need to process out. If I give myself a little space to be upset over it anyways. You've done great. I would have gotten someone in trouble, and you found, instead, very much the best possible solution that Alternia offers at this time.
Okay, yeah, but it's allowed to suck. He talks magnificently about community, but you're not actually sure how long he ever stays in a community that's larger than 4, or like 5 or 6, you guess. He's talking about the concept of taking people with him. It dawns on you that this has got to be a lot of how he lives, inspiring people, surrounding himself with people who, very much like you, needed him. But those are transient relationships, always moving on. You're going to be moving on. Isn't that how you've been maintaining your friendships always? One intense night and then charging forward?
I know. We both know that general lifestyle, apparently. Not every single person you love is in a position to just pick up and follow you, right? It'd be absurd.
Okay, but it'd be kind of nice. He looks at you for a moment.
Hey, I'm sorry I called you a friend earlier.
Ouch!
I know it's a very fucking loaded phrase, and everyone has different comfort levels with that. I, for one, am trying to normalize the notion of caring about each other and being involved in one another's lives, but I also know the challenge of saying that over and over, if you're always going to go. Is it going to be easier for you moving forward if I cut that phrasing out?
Well, fuck. Does he want to cut it out?
I've been comfortable with this for a long while, actually, but after this conversation, I sort of might.
Non-committal, one-night-acquaintance zoned. Alright, well, that's Volume 2 of Distantquest, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, make sure you click the like button down below and subscribe to keep up with my stuff. New video almost every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Monday and Wednesday, my stream VODs. There's a link down in the description that takes you to my Twitch channel. Right now, we're going through, we're reading through Homestuck on Saturdays and going through Danganronpa on on Sundays. I'm taking every 4th Sunday off. There's a whole thing about that. Comment, what's your favorite part about this? I actually kind of like that last bad ending. It's really funny. Just the non-committal acquaintanceship zone. That was fucking funny. But what was your favorite? Did you like the bad ending or just like the good ending? And share with your friends. Show them this nice fan project. This is it for now. I know they've announced the Psionic officially. They announced that Psionic and Disciple are next, but I don't know when that's going to be coming out. But yeah, share it with your friends, show them what Distantquest is, and join the Discord. Again, another link down in the description to come join the growing community that we have going on right now. But anyway, this has been a long fucking episode. It's been an hour. So I'm gonna go. Hope you all enjoyed this. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Stay healthy, stay safe. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you next time. Later, everybody.